All right, so now that we've solved for d, we got our difference in -6. Now we're ready to find our 16th term. So to do that, again, we go back to this equation here. Only now we're finding a16 equals, again for a1 we have to go and use a10 instead, which is 91 plus n, which is 16. And then again, this was our 10th term. So it's going to have to be minus 10 and then times d, which is -6. Make sure you don't just write -6 and subtract it. It's multiplication. Okay, so then simplifying, we get 91 plus, this would be 6 times -6, so a -36. And we do that, we're going to get an answer of 55 for a 16. So again, first you got to find d by plugging in these two terms. We use 27 and 10 because we're using 27 in the 10th term. Find d, and then repeat the process over now that you know d. On to the next question. So here we're supposed to evaluate, so again, add or sum, the arithmetic series described. So again, to find the sum of an arithmetic series, the formula is n times a1 plus an all over 2. All right, so we know that our n is going to be 24 times our a1, which is 6, plus, now a sub n is going to be the 24th term. So if we want to find the 24th term, we're going to go back and use that formula from the previous page that finds a term. So again, that is that formula right there. We want a24, a1 is 6, plus 24 minus 1. D, we're going down by 5, so -5. And get that all figured out here. And that term is going to be -109. So we can go back to where we were. Our a sub n, our 24th term, excuse me, is -109, all that over 2. So when all is said and done, I'm going to get an answer of 1,236 for our sum there. All right, now we're getting into geometric terms, or geometric series and sequence. We can tell that because we're multiplying by 4 each time. So when we're finding a geometric term, our equation is a sub n, and then equals a1 times r to the n minus 1. So here we want the 8th term, so a8 is going to equal our a1, which is 1, times our rate, or our ratio, which we're multiplying by 4, to the 8 minus 1 power. So take 4 to the 7th, and we get 16,384 for our total there. Pretty simple. Okay, now we got to find this 10th term in between the 2nd and 5th term. So we got to find our rate. So to do that, again, we use the a1 a sub n equals a1 r to n minus 1. So a sub n, last one we know, is -54. So equals a1, well, we have a2, it's -2 times r to the, we use the 5th term and the second term. So then 54, we're going to get negative 2r to the third. Divide by negative 2, so 27 equals r cubed. So our rate, or ratio, is going to be 3. Now we can go find our 10th term. So A10 is going to equal our A1, which again, we know A2, so let's use negative 2. And then our R is 3. And then we want the 10th term, use the second term. So negative 2 times 3 to the 8th. And that's going to get us a larger, well, large negative number. We end up with negative 13,122. Just like we did with the arithmetic one, only now it's geometric. All right, now we're going to start evaluating these geometric series. So this one, it's not infinite, it only goes up to 9. So when we evaluate this, we're going to use our partial geometric sum formula, which is A1, and then that is going to be 1 minus r to the n over 1 minus r. So our A1, we're starting with 64 here, if we plug in 1. Our r is negative 1/2, and then our n is 9, and then over 1 minus our rate again, which is negative 1/2. It's kind of sloppy. Try to write more straightforward. So that's going to equal 64 still. Let's see. Negative 1/2 to the 9th. So 2 to the 9th is 512. So we're going to have 1. Negative 2 and odd, so it's still going to stay negative. 2 negatives would make this a positive. And it's going to be 1 over 512. On the bottom, 2 negatives make it positive, so this would be 3/2. So then, we're going to have to multiply all this together. You really want to be careful with parentheses. So let's see. On top, we have 64 times, let's see if I combine that, that would be 513 512ths. And we're going to divide that by 3 over 2. And comes out to 42.75 as our going to be our sum there. All right, so next, find the missing term. Should say geometric sequence. So to find this missing term, we can just use the geometric mean formula. So it's square root of AB, which would be the square or the geometric mean. So square root of 3 times 48. Well, 3 times 48, if I do some mental math here, 120 would be 144. So we would get an answer of 12. Which we check, 3 times 4 is 12, 12 times 4 is 48, so that works. All right, finally, it says determine if the series converges or diverges. So we have to figure out what our rate or ratio is. So 1/8, 1/4, 1/2, 1. It looks like we're getting bigger, right? So what are we multiplying by? Well, one way to do it is go 1 divided by 1/2. You can do that. Or just think, okay, 1/2 times what gives me 1? Well, 1/2 times 2 gives me 1. So again, the difference between converges and diverges. Diverges has no limit. which means you can't calculate an infinite sum. And since these numbers keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, it's going to have no limit. This one diverges. If your r is less than 1, then it would be said to converge or have a limit. So this is an example of one that actually converges. As you can see, we're getting smaller. You might say divided by 3. Well, technically, we have a rate of 1/3, because multiplying by 1/3 is the same as dividing by 3. Again, divide backwards. 9 divided by 27, that simplifies to 1/3. So we can calculate an infinite sum here. And the formula for that, for a geometric infinite sum, is a1 over 1 minus r. So our a1 here is 243 divided by 1 minus our rate. So really we have 243 divided by 2/3. And if you calculate that out, you can multiply by the reciprocal, or you could simply type in your calculator, just put the 2/3 in parentheses, and you're going to come out to an answer of 364.5. And we're done. All right, so that completes the second part of the review. I'll be posting the review today, then followed by the test, hopefully either tonight, which again it's Thursday, or tomorrow. You do have until the 30th is when that's going to close. So you need to be thinking about when you want to take this test. I would say the sooner, probably the better, since we learned this stuff recently. However, I can't penalize you if you wait till the 30th. Final reminder, I will also be still checking homework. Only a few of you have turned yours in. This is checking 12.1 through 12.3, so things that were assigned before this break. So they should be done already. But you do have up until tomorrow, which is Friday, to turn it in, get an extra credit point. That's sending it, taking a picture, sending it in to me. Otherwise, you have till the 30th to get it done. After the 30th, if I don't have it submitted to me, you'll be given a 0 for the assignments 12.1 to 12.3. Later on, I'll be checking the other two Chapter 12 assignments, so hang on to those. Keep checking Canvas. In your email, you should be doing that pretty much every day. You're at home. You know, most of you don't have anything better to be doing, and you need to be keeping up on this. If you choose to do nothing over when we start the distance learning on the 30th, you're probably going to fail the class and have to either retake the class next year or go to summer school. So you do need to make sure you're keeping up with this. If you have any questions, just shoot me an email. Again, I'll be posting that test soon. So if you're watching the review, thank you for reviewing and actually studying for your test, and hopefully you do well.